Lance Stroll last week got that 5-second penalty for the collision with Pierre Gasly, and then said he wanted to fight him in the parking lot after.
I was going to say, well, Budapest is probably the sort of place where you could find a lot of parking lots and some unsanctioned bare knuckle boxing. But
who's winning that fight for you, Pierre Gasly or Lance Stroll? I think Pierre would absolutely knock him out.
I think it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I don't know. I think it would.
Hello and welcome to On Track GP, where today we are, of course, discussing the upcoming race. We've had a week off, but we are going to Hungary, the Hungaroring in Budapest, for a twisty, turny, 14-cornered race. And we're very excited about it. I'm joined by Richard Bradley. Richard, how are you? Excited for the race?
I'm good, mate. Always excited for this one. It's, on paper, it looks like it should be quite a boring race, very difficult to overtake. But every year it turns out to be a bit of a thriller. And also the weather at this time of year, there's always a chance of some rain and some showers as well. So I'm always excited for this one.
Yeah, this is where Esteban Ocon got that unbelievable win in 2021, where it just was absolute carnage, and Esteban Ocon came out the winner. And you're right, it gets a bit of a reputation, this race, as a little bit almost dull because it's so difficult to overtake. But actually, last year there were over 60 overtakes. I think it was 61 overtakes last year. So I think we could be in for a fantastic set of racing.
I think on the other side as well, while you're saying about Ocon winning in that crazy race, don't forget Jenson Button had his first win at Hungaroring as well in an equally crazy race.
Yeah.
So it always brings up these surprise winners. You remember Lewis Hamilton starting on his own when everybody else went into the pit lane.
Oh my God, yes.
A few years ago.
He was like, where is everyone?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So what we've got this weekend is not a sprint, but F1 are trialling, which, by the way, I love this so much, that they are trialling in Q1, everyone goes on hard tyres, Q2, everyone on mediums, and Q3, everyone on softs. And I love that. I feel like that's a cool little rule change that bring in that does make the sport more interesting without just going, let's just do another race on a Saturday and make it 17 laps. What? Why are we doing that? No, I love this.
Yeah,
how do you feel about it?
I think it's mega. I think it's really good. I mean, we have different tyre compounds in the sports cars that I do, and it actually makes a huge difference in how you have to, especially when the tyre's new, about how you bring the tyre in and how the tyre lasts and how you use it when it's new. And it's actually a very, very different driving style. And certain tyres at certain points, when the tyre doesn't work, it just doesn't work. But it's the same for everybody. And that's why you have these different compounds. So to be forced to use one compound when it might not be the ideal compound for that, to see how people work and react to that, I think it's actually quite a cool initiative by Formula One.
Yeah, and it could be a little bit of like an equaliser, I guess, as well. And it gives the teams that are further down maybe more of an opportunity. If I remember last year, the hard tyres were trash around here. And Pirelli are bringing, this is one of the races where they actually shifted the compounds that they're bringing from last year. So they're now bringing the 3 softest tyres. So it'll be interesting to see what that strategy is going to be, because basically the hard tyre was completely useless last year and everyone was running mediums and soft. But so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out this year as well. It's often referred to as Monaco without the barriers because of the tight corners and the tight turns. We're going to see a lot of heavy downforce. So the guys in the cars that have good downforce cars that corner really quickly are the low-speed corners. Aston Martin this season have been particularly good at that. Red Bull have been good at everything. But Aston Martin, that's been one of their things. Who do you think could have a good weekend?
Well, I think you're right. Also, the other thing is with this place is I was at the Grand Prix last year and I did the track walk. And I haven't actually driven Hungaroring before, but I could not believe how narrow it is and how twisty it is. Like, it feels really intimidating. TV doesn't do it justice. It honestly feels like you're at a kart track. And, with how big the Formula One cars are now, it's a properly twisty circuit. But I think it's unique to anything that we've actually had so far in its characteristics, except for maybe Monaco, but street circuits always have their own niches.
Yeah.
But I think, as you picked up on, Red Bull are going to be strong. They're strong everywhere. It's hard not to have them as favourites. But yeah, I think you could be right, because Aston Martin in they haven't had a great run of form yet, but on circuits where you have needed high downforce, they have been pretty good this year. The only one they weren't great at was Silverstone, but that was more high speed. On circuits where you need high downforce, where you've got low speed corners, i.e. Bahrain, for example, they're actually pretty decent. So I'd like to see them back because it kind of feels like, Alonso especially, his challenge has kind of faded lately, and it was good for everybody when they were competitive,
Yeah, well, look, let's talk a little bit more about Red Bull because we've got the big breaking news under the Red Bull umbrella of Daniel Ricciardo coming back and going into the AlphaTauri. Sergio Perez not been performing recently. Everybody, the world and his wife are getting involved in this conversation about is this the beginning of the end for Checo? So that's going to be interesting to see. My God, does he need a good race?
Yeah, he doesn't need a good race. He just needs a decent qualifying.
Yeah,
He
correct.
just needs to qualify where he should be. And I think I would just be going. It's a hell of a lot easier. And as a driver, I know this. It's a lot easier to say something than do something, but it's almost just like, make sure you do the basics. We don't need heroics to be pole or anything like that.
My favourite phrase, do the basics
exactly.
right.
And with that car, you don't even have to really, you won't have to push like a lunatic to get out of Q3 and Q2. Sorry, Q1 and Q2. Just get yourself into Q3 and then we can play it from there.
Yeah.
And then I think just having a solid weekend will help his confidence so much.
Definitely. And his race pace actually on the Sundays has been okay. He's managed to drag himself back up. But ultimately, he shouldn't be dragging himself up and saying, oh, that was a good race, he finished fourth. He should, in that car, be finishing second.
Yeah, exactly.
Every week.
Yeah.
So Verstappen was disqualified from a sim race at Spa after he deliberately took out another competitor on the first lap of the race as revenge for making contact with him at the start. I mean, is that not the most Max Verstappen thing you've ever heard?
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not into my sim racing too much, but like everybody during lockdown, we had to find ways to pass the time, so I got into it. Because all the drivers basically we took our real life competitions to online.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to get wound up at your computer than it is in real life.
That's interesting, really.
Yeah.
Does it almoys feel like the stakes are higher in the sim racing?
Yeah, no, not really. It's more that, in the sim racing, if you go and do something like that, you're not going to get hurt.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Fair. So it's easier to do something which is a lot more, catastrophic than it is in real life.
I love that he's definitely the greatest, biggest winner on the grid at the minute in terms of what he's doing in that car. But still, like all of us, plays video games and goes, I'm just going to bin it just because I'm annoyed.
That was it. I'm amazed that Sergio Perez hasn't gone like, who's this guy? I need his number. He's Rattle Max. How do we do this?
That's so funny. Mercedes, they had a very poor start to the season, but things are moving in the right direction now. How did you feel that they fared at Silverstone?
I thought they were pretty good, and I think I was at being at the race and everything. I didn't hear it with commentary and stuff like that, but from where I was watching, at least, I thought George in particular looked very strong. He just got held up by Leclerc, who had some quite aggressive defending, shall we say, as well. But I actually think his pace was pretty decent, and obviously Lewis kept the McLarens very honest. So hopefully they can continue that trend, because again, it's good for Formula One when we have these teams coming back. We want your Hamiltons, your Russells at the front of it. So if they keep going in the right direction, then yeah, they could be a factor.
Lewis this week said he doesn't care what position he ends the season in. He just wants to start strongly for 2024. But didn't they say that last season about this season?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, when you're on a run of form and you're used to something, when you're in a position where you can't win, you don't really care about the rest of it. It just winds you up. You've got no interest.
Yeah.
You just focus immediately on. Of course, every time you get in the car, you always try and do the best that you can because you're wired to do that. But in the big picture, like if you think you should be at the front and you're not, you just go next.
Yeah. Just crack on, I guess. Do you think we'll see both of those guys there for the next couple of years at Mercedes?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Formula One goes in ebbs and flows, and a team doesn't become bad overnight, and drivers don't become bad overnight, and they will eventually end up getting back there.
McLaren, for me, were the real winners of the Silverstone Grand Prix. Second and fourth. Out of nowhere. Yeah. Talk about upgrades actually performing. What they did was incredible, man.
We're talking about those immediate upgrades. Just remember where they were in Bahrain at the start of the season. Yeah. That is insane. It really is.
No, I completely agree.
We just need to first make sure it wasn't a one-hit wonder. And that's what we're going to see this weekend. I really, really hope it doesn't. I think I think Norris and Piastri as a pairing is really quite exciting.
I was at Goodwood this week, and I was lucky enough to speak with Amel, who was one of their aerodynamics engineers. And she was very confident that it wasn't a one-hit wonder, that this was, that they'd really planned for that to be the big upgrade, and that was going to be the change. Now, obviously, the Hungarian is a completely different circuit to Silverstone, and we saw that the McLaren performed really well in the high-speed corners. Now is going to be the test. How does it perform in those low-speed corners? Where do you think realistically we can see? I mean, as you say, it's difficult because we don't actually know what the upgrades are going to be, but how do you see them getting on? Are they back?
Well, again, if we had another race before this where they had this package, then I'd be a lot more confident in my answers. But you know, Hungarian, as you said earlier, it's a max downforce circuit, and Silverstone is a very high downforce circuit. So what works at Silverstone, disregarding the fact that it's high speed, aerodynamically should work in Budapest. So I think that they should, in my opinion, be quite good. But I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I really like McLaren as a team. Yeah. Generally, I was never completely sure about Zach Brown, but actually, I think he's such a character. The sport would be less fun without him. He's sort of like a slightly more likable Christian Horner, almost. You know. Yeah,
and you can see he cares as well. Like you know, whenever they have a good result, you see him in the garage, and you know, you can see when someone does something for show, and if he's doing that for show, then blimey, he needs an Oscar. You know.
Yeah. He gives it, come on, those like classic American fist bumps. I say more likeable Christian Horner. I actually like Christian Horner now as well. He's like the villain that we all love. Aston Martin, there's been a dip in form since the beginning of the season. It kind of almost feels like they spent all their money at the beginning and didn't leave any left. But as we've said already, this is a high downforce, full downforce circuit, and that's been where they've been at their best. Do we think we can see a resurgence from them this weekend?
I hope so. I really hope so. Because I feel for them, because if not, you can imagine how Stroll Senior and Fernando are going to be to the poor engineers who are going to be trying to enjoy their summer break, aren't they? You know, they're going to be sat on the engineers will be sat on the beach in Ibiza, and all of a sudden someone will come up to them with some blueprints that they have to start drawing. And stuff. God! But I really hope that they do, because Fernando, when he had the package at the beginning of this year, he looked seriously strong. Yeah. And you know, at one point he was giving Max a serious run for his money.
Yeah, completely. And you know, maybe not to be written off yet, depending on if they do bring upgrades and that kind of thing. It was also Lance Stroll last week got that 5-second penalty for the collision with Pierre Gasly, and then said he wanted to fight him in the parking lot after.
I was going to say, well, Budapest is probably the sort of place where you could find a lot of parking lots and some unsanctioned bare knuckle boxing. But
who's winning that fight for you, Pierre Gasly or Lance Stroll? I think Pierre would absolutely knock him out.
I think it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I don't know. I think it would. I don't know. I'm gonna go Stroll.
You think Stroll?
It's a close one. It's a close one.
It would be the funniest fight you've ever seen. Honestly. Like the who's those two idiots that are fighting? Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg doing a cage fight. It's like that.
This would be on the support bill, right? Yeah. The perfect undercard fight.
Right, let's talk about my boys. Ferrari. Rubbish! Again!
I'm just going to remind you, I can't remember the year, but there's actually some pretty cool YouTube clips of Ferrari bringing out the wrong set of tyres for this race for one of their drivers during a pit stop.
Oh, God. Oh, no, don't. Please don't put that out into the ether.
I'm pretty sure it was at Hungary.
I think there's sort of rumours starting to fly around about the relationship between Sainz and Leclerc now, because they've always been like good mates, really good at the media stuff, but ultimately I think when you're not winning, that has an effect, right? And Ferrari are not winning.
Well, I think there's rumours, but the only thing I've seen is Carlos asking to go past him at Silverstone. I mean, you know, you're a driver. If you think you're faster, you're always going to ask your team to do it. I remember a race at Silverstone where I had my teammate in front of me, and the dirty air there is so bad. So I asked them to let me through, and they said no, hold station. So I then came on the radio and said, "Okay, boys, you got 3 laps, and he's got 3 laps to let me by. Otherwise, I'm just going to try and race him, basically." Yeah. And I took matters into my own hands, and thankfully I had a good race, because if I hadn't, I would have been absolutely slaughtered afterwards. And you know, the thing is, I wasn't getting paid anywhere near the same money that Sainz is, so he couldn't put himself in that position. But that's all he's done. I think that there's a little bit too much being read into that. They're both racing drivers. They both want to win, and they'll try and get whatever advantage they can. But I think they'll be okay.
It's interesting. Just coming back onto that point. Do you know when you're driving and you have more pace in you,
Yeah.
and you're stuck with something. You really know, or is it every time you get into the car you think I could be quicker?
No. You always know. And to be perfectly honest with you, you don't try and always say that you're faster than your teammate, because when you actually do say, or whoever you have communication to, whatever, because you want it to have the most effect when you do it. If you do it every race, you just become a bit like a broken record.
Yeah.
So you try and say it when you actually know you can do something different, and then you can show it on the data and everything afterwards.
And where do we think Ferrari this weekend? I mean, I'm not particularly optimistic, if I'm completely honest. I think it could be quite close, actually, between the three teams of Aston Martin, Mercedes and Ferrari. I think Mercedes will come out the top out of those three. But I do think Ferrari, I say it every week, I think they could do something here. I don't think they'll get on the podium. I don't think they'll get anywhere near the podium. But if we could do like a 4-5...
I think you're pushing it.
It's
a bit
ambitious,
there as well,
isn't it?
Mate. Yeah. I'm afraid they've just got no zip about them at the minute.
No, it's just... bleh.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
there. It's red.
Yeah.
It's not quick.
It's like pasta, but someone forgot the sauce, you know.
I saw again at Goodwood a red Ferrari, and the number plate was lasagna. How good is that? LA45ANGE, or however you spell it. Brilliant. So good. I loved it. Alpine, well, they had a shocker. Two cars DNFing, and Jeremy Clarkson was there in the garage and sort of jokingly wrote in his column that he's been asked to never come back. But Alpine, I had high hopes for them at the beginning of the season, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I had high hopes for them. By the way, on the fight thing, I'd put Ocon above Gasly in a fight, I think.
Oh, Ocon would be scrappy, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if I was Pierre, I'd tag team.
Yeah.
Honest,
Oh, you know, Ocon would be the sort of person that like gouges your eyes out or bites you.
Exactly.
Like, he'd be scrappy. And I like that.
But no, I mean, we're coming here, and you know, there is there is always a thing when you go back to a circuit where you've had a good result in the past and a good memory. You always just arrive there feeling on a bit of a high, and it does put you in a positive mindset, which is a really key thing when you're actually starting a race weekend. And the fact that Esteban Ocon has had success in the Hungarian will give him a lot of confidence going into this weekend. And so I think he's going to have a good weekend. But again, they're still a bit flat. I still can't see them doing anything miraculous. And I think if they get two cars in the points, then they probably had a decent weekend.
It feels like that way, really, because we can, to an extent, maybe taking away Lance Stroll, we can predict probably where not exactly the order, but the top 7 cars, really. Yeah. So it only really leaves, and if Lance Stroll has an okay race because the car is fairly good, it really only leaves 2 points positions. Yeah. Alpine or McLaren, who's going to finish higher this year? Do you think of the constructors?
Oh, McLaren, no question.
You think they'll come back and really just completely outscore now? Because
the thing is, it's quite clear that whatever McLaren does in terms of upgrades, okay, even if they don't continue the massive jump that they had at Silverstone, look at where they started Bahrain. I mean, as a delta, they found like well over a second, which is incredible. And if you look at what Alpine have found over the course of a season, it's really not that much. So the rate of progress from McLaren is significantly higher than anybody else at the minute. So there is no way I can see the teams catching up with that. Yeah, very, very, very interesting. Let's get on to the hot gossip. AlphaTauri, Daniel Ricciardo back in to Formula One. But he is in a pretty dreadful car. But that driver pairing now is pretty appealing. Yuki Tsunoda, who is completely on the up, and Daniel Ricciardo, who had a blip, absolutely. Actually, I think he gets a hard time about his blip in Renault. I think in Renault he actually did okay. I don't think he had a blip at all. I think when you actually look at how Hülkenberg's performing, and Daniel was always, ahead of Hülkenberg, or they were, okay, maybe equal, but wasn't that big. But still, Hülkenberg is very highly rated. I don't think he had a blip at all. I just think the car wasn't that good. I completely agree. And even when Alonso went to Renault, we saw the car wasn't that good. Agree. He is back, though, Daniel Ricciardo. What can we expect from him? Let's say this weekend. What can we expect from him? Well, it's going to be a bit different for him because, he's just done that test at Silverstone and he was on, experimental tyres and everything on a very rubbered-in track in the best car in the world at the minute. And, he probably was like, wow, this is cool. I'm back to Formula One. And I can kind of expect him to come round on his first lap in first practice where he's got 60 kilos of fuel in the back and hard compound tyres on a green Hungarian in the worst car on the grid. And he's going to come around the last corner and get on the straight and just go, oh. What have I done? This is going to be harder than I thought. But you know, for me, a decent weekend for Daniel, to be honest, will just be to finish it in a strong position and just have no heroics and complete every lap and, you know, get himself back into the F1 frame of mind. Because the nice thing for him is he then has the summer break to be able to go and analyze everything to the nth degree and come back a lot stronger afterwards. So for me, this is just almost a refresher weekend for Daniel. So a nice position to be in, no pressure. Yuki, well, you know, he's got a lot of hype around him at the minute. People are now starting to talk about him potentially for that Red Bull seat. So, you know, he's got to keep on proving himself. But for the first time, he's probably under a bit more indirect pressure than he's been on for a while, because he's in a position where he's getting himself out there for the first time. Yeah. So I think he'll be good here, though. I think Hungary will suit his aggression, his style, and everything. So I think he'll have a good weekend. Yeah, very interesting. Richard and I have a podcast bet on. I think Daniel Ricciardo from now will outscore Yuki Tsunoda, and Richard thinks Yuki Tsunoda will outscore Daniel Ricciardo for a mighty sum of £10. Mate, that'll buy me a pint and a packet of crisps.
Not Silverstone, it wouldn't.
No, yeah, exactly. I might have to go up north.
But I think just overall, I think so many people are happy to see him back, because he's such a. Not only is he a fantastic character, but he's also a really good driver.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the guy's CV speaks for itself. He's won championships. He's won races. He was the only teammate who gave Max a serious run for his money in a Red Bull. You know, and he gave. You know, he was better than Vettel at the end of Vettel's Red Bull days. So no, I'm excited to see what he can do, to be honest.
Yeah, no, me too, absolutely. Alfa Romeo, look, not a huge amount to report, but Valtteri Bottas has come out publicly and said that they're not meeting their targets. Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's that one. Anything to add on that, really?
No, not really. Again, I think that Zhou is doing an understated job, probably not getting the recognition that he deserves.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually.
You know, because he is up against Bottas, who is exceptionally good, and he's keeping him honest. Yeah. So I think just a bit of a shout out to Zhou, really. Yeah,
Haas as well, not a huge amount. Again, same with Alfa Romeo and Haas. I don't think any of these guys are going to go and score points this weekend.
No, that kind of sucks, because one of the Haas is a team which is, you know, up front is full of personalities. Yeah. And I think if we do get this model of Haas up to some good positions, you know, when you got the personalities of Magnussen, especially Gunter as well. Yeah. We haven't heard anything from Gunter in ages.
I know.
We all love a bit of Gunter, right? He keeps us entertained. So. You know, the last thing I actually heard from Gunter. I watched the NASCAR race from Austin, and he was one of the guest commentators.
Oh, cool!
And you know, NASCAR commentating is like the most American thing you'll ever watch. And then to have Gunter there as well, it was actually just brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
It actually suited it.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. The only thing Gunter has come out and said is that they're hoping to do a driver lineup announcement for 2024 before the summer break. But ultimately, there's no. Why would you change?
Yeah, why would you change? Yeah,
Magnussen and Hulkenberg. I think they're a really strong pair.
And I think that's exactly why they want to do it before the summer break, because they're, you know, why would you change? They've both been very solid. They've both been very similar speed. It seems like they're working well together. Yeah. There's no need to change, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and particularly Hulkenberg's qualifying pace has been fantastic. Yeah. I wonder if he could be one of the guys that benefits under these new Q1 hards, Q2 mediums, Q3 softs. That could be the thing that really
and also the other thing with Hulkenberg as well, just remember, he's got a history of performing incredibly well in mixed conditions. You know, getting his first pole at Brazil in that Williams. Obviously, Canada did very well in qualifying. And with Hungaroring's always got a bit of dodgy weather. So I think that, you know, if it does start to rain, keep your eye out for it.
I feel like it's rained at so many races, or so many weekends. Like the last 5 weekends, there's been mixed conditions.
There was even a little bit of rain during practice at Bahrain this year.
Yeah, I mean, that is ridiculous, yeah. Last but not least, we'll talk about Williams. I just love what Alex Albon has been doing. We'll leave Logan Sargent for a second, but what Alex Albon is doing, man, I love it. I think it's great.
And he looks like he's having fun doing it.
Yeah.
He looks like one of the very few Formula One drivers who's regularly competing inside the top 10, who's having a really good time doing it. He's just loving going to work, you know. And good for him, because he's, you know, he had a bit of a low, obviously, when the Red Bull fallout happened, and he's just completely rejuvenated himself. Yeah. And he's enjoying his racing, and he's performing, and his attitude is good, and long may it continue, man.
Yeah, I completely agree. It seems like just a really lovely guy as well, and incredibly talented.
Top bloke, really top bloke.
And really could be on the precipice of being swept up by a team with a quicker car.
Well, you know, there are rumours about Ferrari going for him this week, you know, and replacing Sainz, and And to be
Not my
honest,
boy Sainz.
I think that's a bit premature, because I think that, you know, Leclerc hasn't been that much better than Sainz, and I think they're in a hard position because they don't have the package the minute to be able to do what they're doing. But the fact is that whenever these big seats are going to come around, whenever your Lewises retire, whenever, you know, there could be openings in Red Bull for whatever reason, we know what Red Bull's like, or Ferrari, you cannot ignore Alex Albon.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I wonder if there's any element of Red Bull going, we probably shouldn't have let him go.
Well, yes and no, because to be honest, I think one of the reasons that he's ended up performing in the way he is that he's been able to grow his mental strength, and to just be thrown in straight away into that pressure cooker. Because remember, he did, like, I think it was half a season at Toro Rosso before he got thrown into the Red Bull.
Yeah.
So he didn't have that time to actually mature into the pressures that a Grand Prix driver has in there. Now he's gone away and he's built that through, you know, natural maturity through growing up and experience in Formula One. I don't think they'll regret it, because I think that had he not left Red Bull, he wouldn't have grown into the exceptional talent that he is today. He's always had the talent, but it's about maturing it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it's such an interesting point. It does take time to settle into an F1 car. Absolutely. Yeah. The last point on Williams, as I mentioned, I was at Goodwood this weekend, and I saw their new revealed livery, the golf-inspired, bolder than bold livery that they're going to be running at in the Singapore GP, the Japanese and the Qatar. It is beautiful. Oh my God,
and
man.
it'll be under the lights in Singapore, which is all. In Singapore, those lights are awesome, and Qatar as well. It's obviously a night race.
It's honestly, it's so nice. The thing that worries me with the special liveries is so often they're a curse, and I hope that's not the case. But oh mate, absolutely, like, beautiful, beautiful car. Okay, I'm gonna ask for your predictions. So who do you think is going to get pole? And then I'm also going to ask for your predictions for first, second, and third on Sunday.
I mean, the pole question's a bit boring. Let's be honest. It's gonna be Max.
Logan's,
I think.
Oh,
we wish. I think it will be Max. And then for the race, again, you can't not say Max. And then I have a feeling it will be. Ooh, this is where it gets interesting. I feel redemption for Checo. Yeah. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll end up second. And then I'm torn, but I'm going to go Lando Norris for third.
Wow, McLaren back again.
Lando Norris.
I love that.
I was torn between Hamilton and Alonso and Norris, but I'm going to go for Norris.
Very interesting. You've got to go Max for pole, I agree, and Max for the win, and Max for the fastest lap, and Max for everything. Max to somehow get first and second. Max for pole, Max to win. I'm going to put Lewis in second. I think Mercedes could do something nice, and Checo in third. But what are your predictions? Because we want to know. So drop into the comments and let us know what you're expecting for the Hungarian Grand Prix this week. We'll be back with a report on the qualifying, and absolutely we'll be right here in this very hot studio on Sunday for the Hungarian Grand Prix watch along as well. Richard, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure,
I appreciate it a lot as always. And yeah, we'll see you very soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we will be back very soon. But for now, thanks very much, guys. See you soon.